Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Justin Odisho podcast. I'm your host, Justin Odisho, and this is the show where we explore all types of different creative storytellers, visual artists, hustlers, all that. And we're in New York. This is my first time in the city, and who else better to meet with than who's sitting across from me? I have Nicolas Heller with me, aka you might also know him as New York Nico. You might also maybe know him as Ricky Shabazz if you're a true fan. And he's doing a lot of cool stuff around New York, a lot of video work, some documentary style, some commercial work. He has his own production company, Heller Films. And I think I don't want to butcher it too much. So what did I leave out? Oh, yeah, he's working on his new Facebook Watch thing, which is really cool. Nick, thank you so much for meeting me so soon as I landed.
Of course, man.
He's the unofficial talent scout of New York.
Soon to be official.
Soon to be official. What makes it official?
I don't know. I'm just trying really hard. I'm hoping that de Blasio or whoever, any of the other forces, see my Instagram and, say to themselves, you know what? He should be the official talent scout.
I think so, because you find a lot of cool characters. Would I be?
They find me.
That's
true. I don't
true.
find them.
So I want to kind of get into how you got into video in general. Take it back a little bit to your past and your upbringing, and then because all this kind of, like you said, they found you, and a lot of crazy stuff has been happening for you in the past year, I'd say, right?
Yeah, totally. Well, I would say, what grade was it? 9th grade. I started getting into filmmaking. Actually, no.
Now, were you born in New York?
I was born in New York.
Okay.
I was born in Union Square. Whenever I say that, I don't know if you're familiar with Union Square since your first time.
I'm familiar with what it is.
But, whenever I tell somebody that who's just moved here, is familiar with the city, they're like, what? You grew up in Union Square? Yeah, I grew up in Union Square. Grew up on 16th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue. I guess it's right off of Union Square, but if I had to give it a neighborhood name, I would say Union Square, not Chelsea, Union Square. So I grew up there, went to school in the Village. Then I went to college in Boston, came back to New York afterwards, did the LA thing for like 6 months, and then came back to New York. So, say 95% of my life has been in New York.
Yeah.
But anyway, in 9th grade, I started making movies, little films in my high school filmmaking class. And I went to a progressive art school in the Village. It was like the most liberal school you could ever imagine. It was founded by a lesbian. We had like super progressive courses. And they basically allowed you to do anything in the name of art. So me being like this kind of fucked up 9th grader, decided to push the envelope as far as I could. So I would make films about like rape and pedophilia, essentially snuff films in 9th and 10th grade. And the reason why I was doing this is because I just wanted to shock my teachers and see like what I could get away with. So like I made a film called Girl Gets Raped Thanks MySpace, and in it I have like this serial killer who rapes this girl in our cafeteria refrigerator, and there was no like real message or anything. It was just strictly for shock value.
Yeah.
And I did that for the 4 years that I was in high school. Never got in trouble for it, so I will guess I was able to push the envelope as far as I possibly could. And then I went to Emerson College for film. And then while I was in college, I kind of like realized that, not everything needs to be a snuff film. I also recognized that I was kind of like scaring my parents a little bit. And, but yeah, I don't know. I just grew out of it. And I started making music videos my junior year for underground rap artists. And this was around the time that the Canon 7D came out. So I got my hands on one and just went out like every day and would shoot. I didn't really have any friends in the film program because I kind of thought they were dorks. So I used my friends who are in like, advertising and marketing and whatever to be my crew, which kind of just meant they would like lug stuff around while I shot everything. And, I wasn't a great cinematographer, wasn't a great director, but I kind of like used this amateur aesthetic in a way so that like it kind of made sense. So like a lot of my early stuff was from the point of view of a cameraman or the point of view of a surveillance camera or something like that. So like it looked like shit, but it was supposed to look like shit. And so I remember the first music video I ever did was for this rap artist named C. Ray's Walls. And the whole thing, it was one shot. Well, it was two shots, but it was made to look like one shot of this guy just running down a train track, and it's from the point of view of him. I can't really explain the video.
Is it still up?
It's still up, so I would suggest just take a look at it for yourself. And then that video was like what year was it? It was like 2010, I think. And hip hop videos at the time were just like, a dude like rapping in front of a brick wall or a bodega or something. So this was like very unique at the time. So it got a lot of attention, and all these underground rappers started hitting me up for videos, and kind of just took off from there. So I did videos for, I know you said you saw the one that I did, actually I did a few for him, but I did a couple for Watsky.
Yeah.
And just like a bunch of just like random rappers who were either from Boston, where I went to school, or were passing through, and they would pay me like anywhere from $100 to $200 to make their music video. And,
yeah.
So then by the time I graduated, I continued doing music videos and moved out to LA eventually because I thought I was going to like become the next Hype Williams. But while I was out there, I realized that I was, just another fucking cook in the kitchen. Is that the expression?
I haven't heard that one, but
I was just another. I was just another pitcher in the bullpen.
I think
that's one that I've heard before that I liked. But yeah, no, I was just like one of a billion fucking music video directors who were more talented than I was. So while I was out there, I was just like, my dreams were crushed. I didn't have a driver's license because I was born and raised here in New York, where you don't need one.
Yeah.
So I took my driving test. I failed 3 times. Was it 3? It was actually 4 times. 4 times I failed. Was super anxious while I was out there. Had to share a room with a kid. Like, it was terrible. So after 6 months, I moved back to New York, feeling super defeated. I was like 24, I think. I had to move back in with my parents, and I didn't know what I was going to do for a living because I was so set on being the next Hype Williams. So one day I just went to Union Square Park, was sitting there, was just like kind of figuring out what I was going to do with my life. And while I was thinking, I saw this guy who I'd seen around the neighborhood for the past 15 years. He was this really tall white guy with dreadlocks who carried around a big sign that says, "The 6'7" Jew will freestyle rap for you." And I kind of considered him a celebrity because I'd seen him all over, and he was always the center of attention. But I never, I was kind of shy up until around this time. So I never spoke to him, but I used this super low point in my life as an opportunity to go and talk to him. So we started chatting, and he ended up being a really cool guy. And, we had a great conversation for like 2 hours. And by the end of our conversation, I just asked him if he'd be willing to let me make a documentary about him. And I never made a documentary before, but something just inspired me to ask him. He said yes. So I made this documentary, and then I realized that I could do this sort of thing for a bunch of New York City street characters. So long story short, I did another one and then ended up getting financing to make an 8-episode series, which allowed me to like focus on that full time. And then I did another season of it, which was another 8 episodes. And then, I kind of had like enough work under my belt to show that I knew how to make documentaries, and, documentaries and branded content kind of go hand in hand. So I started doing branded content and making money off of that. And then the branded content turned into commercials. And, as you may or may not know, commercials pay very, very well and are few and far between. So while I was doing these commercials, I had a lot of time to just like do something for fun. And because I kind of like New York kind of saved me after coming back from LA and being in like this deep, dark depression, and not knowing what I was going to do for a living, it saved me because, I took this series about New York City street characters and like, being this guy who's like uncovering forgotten New York City. I took that and kind of like made it my thing. And that took me out of this dark place that I was in. So New York like really saved me.
Yeah.
So when I started having this free time to kind of just like find another project, that's when New York Nico kind of was birthed. And the series that I was doing, it was called Know Your City and Owe Your City. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that series?
Yeah.
And who financed it?
A friend of mine who actually used to finance a lot of my music videos.
Okay.
Back in the day, because he had a small record label.
And was that like just generosity, or was there something?
No, I mean, we were able to sell it.
Oh, okay.
So he made some money back, but I think it was more just to like,
kind of like
get something up under his belt and my belt. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so.
You said you just started.
So yeah, so the Know Your City stuff was great. Like I look back on it now and it sucks just because it was like, I was shooting all of it by myself, and it was literally just me and a camera.
Was that like mobile still, or was that like more traditionally shot?
It was like on my 7D, just kind of in the same way that I was shooting those low budget music videos, I was shooting this.
Yeah.
But then, since then I've learned to work with crews and, stuff like that. So I look back on it and I'm like, damn, this shit sucked, but that's besides the point. It was great at the time, and I really thought that it was, the characters that I was uncovering were so fascinating. And it was kind of a shame because the videos didn't get as many views as I was hoping. Like they would get anywhere from like 2,000 to 10,000 views. One of them went like super viral. Well, not super viral, but it got like 200,000 views.
On Instagram?
No, this was on Know Your City. So, but anyway, I was kind of discouraged by that. So I was thinking to myself, like, what can I do so that it can reach a bigger audience? And then I realized that, Instagram had just introduced 60-second videos.
Yeah.
So I realized that I could kind of take that concept of just discovering street characters and bring it to Instagram and start a page where I kind of just like focused on that, and don't have any cuts, just have it be like kind of raw, in your face video shot on my cell phone, of interesting characters. And some of them reoccur, some of them it's just like a one-time thing, but that's when it started to catch on. And over the past year, it's kind of just been like skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And it's been really nice because I have the Instagram, which is just like, I don't have to worry about making money off of it. Just have fun with it. And then I have like the Heller Films, or just like, commercial stuff, which is kind of how I make my money. And
yeah.
So, yeah.
Which I think a lot of people might not know, that because I first entered the funnel through the New York Nico page, and through like just like the random cell phone vids.
Yeah.
And only when I did a little bit further digging, probably digging that most people won't bother to do, did I realize like oh wait, you have like a full on like film or video production company, and I'm guessing there's like a small team behind that,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys make really clean and like well done work
Mm-hmm.
for like pretty reputable brands
Yeah.
like Squarespace and Refinery 29, and it's like totally different than the mobile videos.
Yeah.
It's just very well done stuff,
Yeah.
like very quality stuff. And I mean, so you have the page, the film production for clients, and then you also have like, would you consider the Facebook Watch show like a separate thing almost?
Well, that's kind of where
new.
there's a little bit of crossover, because it's, you know, it's very much New York Nico, but it's also Heller Films because it's longer format. You know, it's for a client, and so yeah. I mean, I kind of consider it a mix of both. I wouldn't consider it like a third world.
It's kind of like a cool blend.
Yeah.
But I think we're skipping ahead a little bit. There's so much that you just explained there, from like coming back from LA to New York.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask. It seems like the initial seed, like going to Union Square down, and like talking to the guy that you always see around.
Mm-hmm.
The initial seed was kind of unplanned inspiration.
Yeah.
But would you say the New York Nico page, after that point, like you said, had a little bit more of a game plan and a mission to it?
No. Because like I said, you know, it was just something that I was doing for fun. I didn't expect it to explode. I mean, I was curious why it hadn't taken off, because like people love interesting characters like this. Why isn't it taking off? And it took a while, but you know, then I think like a few celebrities started following me, and like they started sharing my page and some of my posts, and that's kind of when it started getting attention.
Were they like
and then
New Yorkers?
No,
probably,
just
no?
like random celebrities. Like,
do you remember like the first one? Like what the heck?
Like John Mayer.
Oh wow.
I mean, Jeff Garlin has been huge.
Yeah.
A lot of random Ansel Elgort. Lot of random people.
I feel like John Mayer's really entrenched. Or like he's really in tune.
Yeah, John Mayer's super in tune.
Especially on Twitter.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like he is following like those meme pages with 20,000 followers. And
yeah, he's crushing
things.
it. But yeah, so and then like I had a few videos that just went super viral, and fortunately, a lot of the pages that took it, like Barstool Sports, they credited me, and they credited the subject, Matthew Silver. One of his videos went super viral, and then something with T-Rex went super viral, and so that's helped a lot.
So let's break it down for people who don't know what you just said there.
Yes.
Like, I've been following your page for maybe like almost a year now, and for someone that's just getting in there, like, so you basically have this, what I would call, are you familiar with street photography? Obviously, probably. You have like almost like a street videography style.
Yeah.
Instead of like a candid shot, it's like a candid video, and through that, obviously, since you're in the same area, we have this recurring, a mix of like new, like random faces, and a recurring cast of characters almost, who are all super interesting and super funny and super like unique and confident in different ways. And like you said, so there's like T-Rex, there's Matthew Silver, there's Charlie DeWolf, one of my favorites. And you have an episode about all these people on the new Facebook Watch page. But like, explain to me how you started having a cast of recurring characters almost.
I mean, it wasn't planned. It's just like they're people that I see all the time, and you know, I've either befriended them and then started filming them, or started filming them and then befriended them. Like T-Rex, I befriended and then started filming him. Matthew Silver, I started filming him and then befriended him. And they're just, you know, I'm just drawn to unusual, fascinating, confident people, who kind of, I hate saying this because this is how everyone describes my work, but it is kind of true, is like people that make up the fabric of New York, people that keep it interesting. You know, like if they weren't around, this place would be very boring. Those are the people that I kind of like keep my eye out for. And, you know, they're all different walks of life. Like, you know, Charlie the Wolf, most of the people are performers in some right.
I want to know how you met Charlie.
Well, Charlie,
I've heard how you met like Matthew Silver in your other podcast, which you did you did a great episode with on the Tinker podcast. It was called. So I recommend everyone listen to that too. But I want to know how you met Charlie.
So Charlie is unlike a lot of the other people that I film because he is not a performer. He doesn't necessarily have any sort of talent. He's not very confident. He's just like the 71-year-old miserable Italian American who lives in Williamsburg. And I met him through the Panini Shop, which is a sandwich shop in Williamsburg. So for those who don't know, Williamsburg is like undergoing gentrification. It has been going under gentrification for quite some time. But it used to be just like, you know, this particular area used to be a lot of Italian Americans. And, you know, since the gentrification of this neighborhood, a lot of like the mom and pop shops and like, you know, like Italian food places and what have you, markets, have shut down to make way for like, you know, hipster bars and coffee shops and stuff. But there are a few shops and restaurants that remain, the Panini Shop being one. So it's been around for like 30 years, and Charlie the Wolf has been going there for 30 years. And the reason why I would, you know, hang out at the Panini Shop is because it attracts these types of people. It attracts like the OG Williamsburg cats, you know. And I befriended the son of Anthony and Son, Sabino. So I would go there and just like chill.
Is that the Panini Shop, Anthony and Sons?
Yes. So I would just chill there, and he would introduce me to a lot of the OGs, and you know, I had a lot of fun there, and I would film some of them, but none of them would like ever really reoccur. And then one night, Charlie came through, and the first video I ever got of him was just him coming through, and then the whole entire Panini Shop just giving him shit. And he would just gave it right back, you know? Like they would be like, Charlie, you fuck up, like what are you doing back here, blah blah blah. And Charlie just starts going off on them, calling them grease balls and like all these names and stuff like that. And yeah, and so I knew immediately that this guy was going to be a star. And Sabino had been talking to me about him for a while because he knew I was going to love him. And yeah, he just comes to the Panini Shop every day.
Yeah,
a few times a day. So we became homies, and yeah, he's a great guy. And I just interviewed him for the Facebook Watch show, which is called New York's Got Talent. It's a spin-off of a talent show that I had a few months ago that Jeff Garland hosted, where I had like a bunch of the characters or the folks from my Instagram come through and just like perform.
Yeah.
So it went over really well, and people really loved the name and like the iconography of it. So I was just like, you know what, let's turn this into a interview show.
How did Jeff Garland get involved? Like it was from first following you?
Yeah, he followed me on Instagram. He said that there was a video I took of Matthew Silver that he said caught his attention. He says it's the best video on the internet. It was Matthew Silver. And for those who don't know Matthew Silver, he's a performance artist. I would say he's probably the most popular performance artist in New York City, which means he's the most popular performance artist in the world.
There's so
he's
many
probably
references.
the most photographed person in the world, like street person. Think about it. Who would be more photographed than like a street character, not a celebrity, a street character
in New York?
Not to say he's not a celebrity, because he is a celebrity in my eyes, but you know what I'm saying. Him and Larry the Birdman. who I haven't filmed as much anymore, but
I love that video.
yeah, he's great. They're probably the 2 most photographed people in the world.
I was gonna say for anyone.
I'm sorry, not most photographed people. Most photographed street people
in the world, which is probably up there on the ranking of most
yes,
photographed people.
Exactly.
But
well, you know, obviously like the Kardashians and them,
yeah.
but anyway, what was I saying? So Matthew Silver. What was I saying about Matthew Silver?
wanted to.
Oh yeah, the video.
Yeah.
So the video. So he's like this street performer, kind of like he refers to himself as like a joker, like a modern day joker. You know, he'll go around and like dance in a woman's bathing suit and play with all these props and, you know, sounds like a crazy description if you don't know who he is, but that kind of is.
It is kind of crazy.
You know, and he preaches love. Like that's
Yeah.
his whole thing is love, and it's a great message, and he inspires a lot of people. But in the video, you know, he's doing his thing, being all wacky, and then I pan to these kids who are getting out of preschool, and they're on one of those like little leashes or whatever, and each one of them has like a different expression on their face. Like one is like just shocked, and another is grossed out, and another is like really into it, and then another is like looks like he's crying. And yeah, so that's the video that kind of caught the attention of Jeff, and then Jeff reached out to me on Instagram. He slid into the DMs, and we linked up the next time he was in the city.
Yeah. I was gonna just mention, like, for anyone listening who is not familiar, there's probably so many.
You probably just have to have the Instagram out while you're listening to this, right?
I'm gonna like link a whole bunch of stuff in the description, but I was gonna say just like a funny thing that like you need a whole Wikipedia page to understand like all the characters and the cast and like the set, and obviously it's not like it's reality, it's not like a show, but like I think if you just follow your page for a while, you slowly start to like get it, and that's what happened with me. I've checked out your page. I trusted this kid's taste, so and it was interesting. It was kind of fascinating.
Shout out Jackie Radinsky.
Yeah, shout out to Jackie. This is like your podcast. You made this happen, kind of. But I didn't get it at first, and then I slowly, as I just lived with it for a couple months, I was like, oh, I get it. Oh, there's that character. Yeah. Plus, I wasn't in New York.
Damn, it took you a couple months?
I don't know if it was a couple months, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. Like a couple, like.
No, that's cool though. I hope that it takes longer for people.
Well, because I'm not a New Yorker either, so not only like do I have to familiarize myself with the faces and also the places and the culture, and so it like I had to learn everything.
Right.
And I was reading something that says like you can only keep track of so many people at a time within a group. I think like what happens is once I know you and I know this person and I know this person, it's not that I just need to know 3 people. I need to know like 3 to the third or whatever relationships. Like I need to know how you and him get along. I need to know how him and him get along. I need to know how me and him get along. And like so the dynamic of a 4-person group is actually like 16 different relationships.
Right.
If I did the math right, I probably butchered it. But you get what I'm saying? So it takes time to like understand all these things. But maybe someone out there can set up like a wiki New York. Yeah. But so Jeff Garland reached out to you. Did he bring up the idea of, hey, we should do some sort of... Did you already have Talent Scout in your bio? Or like, was that already your moniker?
No. So what happened was my buddy Derek was curating these events at this venue in on the Lower East Side, and he asked if I wanted to like do some sort of show or screening or something. And at first I thought I would, make a film or something and screen it, but then I just thought that it would be lame. Like I wanted to do something different. And then I had the idea to do a talent show because I have all this talent. That's my thing. Why not get everyone together in one place and have a talent show? And I hit up Jeff just to see if like he was going to be in town for whatever reason, if he wanted to stop by and do a set or something to just be a part of the show. And he hit me up and he was like, if give me a date, I'll fly in and I'll host the show for you, which was surreal to me because I've been a huge fan of his since I was like 13 or whenever I started watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So it was just super surreal that, he was down to host, to MC my event. And yeah, he came through and did an amazing job, and it was a dream.
How did you round everyone up to be in the same place
I mean,
at time?
it was easy.
Really?
Yeah. They're
mostly
these
like,
are
a lot
my
of them are
friends. Like
performing.
they're down to, and they love like the attention, and so they were super down,
Yeah. It's fun. It's a fun thing.
Oh, it was very fun. It was very fun.
So then, how did the talent show spin off into the whole series?
I mean, Facebook reached out and they told me that they were releasing Facebook Watch, which is kind of like YouTube on Facebook. And they asked if I had any ideas for shows. And, at first I wasn't that interested, but then turned out that like they want to give me 100% creative control and really just do whatever I want. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's awesome. I'm going to do this. So I had the idea to just take the concept of New York's Got Talent and turn it into a show. So each episode is me interviewing a talented New Yorker. And it's super vague, a talented, like Charlie the Wolf was an episode. He doesn't necessarily have a talent, but in my eyes, he's like, what did I say? He's talented. Or when I asked him what his talent was, which is not a question I normally ask, but I asked him, and he said, I don't have a talent. I just, I keep it real. I was like, that's a fucking talent. Are you kidding me? Because not a lot of people keep it real anymore. And then, I have everyone from street performers, like a lot of the people that you'll see on my Instagram, to, more traditional artists like Daniel Arnold, who's a great street photographer, or Claw Money, who is an amazing graffiti artist and has her own clothing line. I just got back from Katz's Deli, where I was interviewing Harry and Shula, who are doing a senior citizen remake of Annie Hall. So, it's super vague. Whoever I think is an interesting character, and, would have a good interview and be somewhat inspiring to whoever's watching. That's kind of the criteria.
And I think that's honestly a super cool, like, situation and opportunity almost, because I think a lot of people listening might not even know what Facebook Watch is, or Facebook Watch is a thing. But for anyone that's listening, Facebook did just launch this whole like watch page, and they're competing with YouTube, and they're even like launching all these new creator things. So they're trying to compete with YouTube for video. And have you found that, I mean, I know that the most popular episode is the one with T-Rex so far. And I think for some reason, just like Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram, like things, I feel like something's going to go super viral for you. Like, I mean, that's pretty viral still. The
I mean,
one,
that got like 700,000 views.
Oh, was
like,
it?
Yeah.
For some reason in my head, I thought it was like 300,000.
No.
But even that. But yeah, like that already happened. I just feel like, like Facebook, people can share.
Yeah.
And it's bound, I feel like, with the characters and people, and the way you do it too is very captivating, that like every 10 episodes one of them just gonna get like 1 million views somehow.
Totally.
I think that's a really cool opportunity. Like I'll link that for sure, because most people might not know where to find a Facebook Watch page. But so after, I mean, I wanted to get into something too, because you said you don't usually ask people what their talent is. Mm-hmm. And this whole time we've been talking about like, performers and like recording people. And I saw something you posted on your Instagram story a while back. And it was, if the context of the situation, I think, was someone from your old high school or something had like stumbled on your page and they got upset by it.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Do you remember
Completely
posting
forgot
something
about
like
that. Yeah.
And
This
like,
dude from my college.
yeah. What was the context behind that?
So it was this guy who was a total piece of shit back in college, which is something I didn't mention because I was trying to be the bigger person. But he was like a total fuck up. Like, oh man, he was just a real piece of shit. Did not have his shit together. Thought he was the man. He was just awful. And he just like reached out to me on Instagram. Or no, what did he do? He posted a screenshot of my Instagram account on his page and like wrote this like essay about how I was like this kid he used to know from college and how I was so talented, and you know he really thought I was going places. But then he finds my Instagram account and sees that I'm like, you know, taking advantage of people and making fun of homeless people, and you know, just he said something. It was like, there's a special place in hell for people like you. Like, just went in, and I didn't respond to it. And then he DM'd me, and we just like started getting into it. And I was like trying to be really respectful to him and like trying to see where he was coming from, but he just wouldn't. He wouldn't listen to me. Well, I'm sorry. I was trying to explain to him where I was coming from, which I generally don't do. Like if someone thinks that I'm like making fun of someone, because that's not my intention at all, you know? So I don't feel like, I never feel guilty about it because it's in no way in my intention. So when people like, you know, accuse me of doing something like that, I kind of just say, you know what, fuck it, like let it go. Like I could understand how if someone saw like one or two of my posts, they might think that, but anyone who's like invested in my account, not even invested, someone who's like spent more than 5 minutes just going through my shit will know that like it's that exact opposite, that I'm trying to like shed a light on these people who I think are fucking amazing. And I never post something of someone I don't like, you know. The only time that I've ever posted a video of someone who I thought was a douchebag, or a group of people who I thought were douchebags, was when I covered St. Patrick's Day last year. There was just like a bunch of, you know, angry drunk teenagers who were like screaming the N-word and stuff like that. It's like, I'm going to put them on blast, you know. But other than that, like, you know, a photo of I remember there was this one photo that I posted a while ago, and I'll get back to that kid who talks shit, but there was one photo that I posted of this guy a while ago who's pretty obese. He wasn't the most handsome looking of gentlemen, but he was wearing this shirt that said, like, this is what awesome looks like, or something. And I took that photo, and everyone was like bashing it, saying like, how could you fucking, you know, put this guy on your page? Like this is so rude. You know, it's obvious you're making fun of him, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, like this dude decided to put this shirt on, you know, that says, you know, I essentially, I love myself, you know. Yes, I might be overweight and I'm not Brad Pitt, but I love myself. I'm awesome. And I'm driven to that sort of confidence, you know, like, I don't know. I'm tired of like, I mean, I don't really have to justify it so much anymore. Like, it's very rare that someone will try to call me out for something like that anymore. And maybe it's because the people who follow me like get it now, and maybe I don't get as many, you know, one-time visitors who whatever, but it's very rare that someone will be like, oh, you're a piece of shit, like you're making fun of these people. But anyway, to go back to that kid, you know, I was trying to justify what I was doing, and he just wasn't hearing it. And it just, like, it really pissed me off. Like, it really pissed me off, especially because, like, I kind of knew him. Like, it's not as bad when it's a stranger, but it's when it's somebody that I know who, like, doesn't understand what I'm doing, it hits me a little bit harder. But yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, it doesn't happen as much anymore. And I'm kind of surprised, because it used to happen a lot. So I don't know like exactly what I'm doing differently. but
I think there was an aspect of getting it, and like for me stumbling on your page, it wasn't like I thought you're making fun of people, but like I did know that there was like more to it.
Yeah.
Like, cause I mean it's like a documentary. It's like a street documentary,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And the one thing I will say though, after watching like a lot of the new New York's Got Talent like episodes that you've been putting up, because the difference with your Instagram page is they're, 30-second, 60-second, like quick clips where maybe you don't get too much context, and it is easier to think like, oh, look, this person's like homeless or something, or this person's like dancing around in a leotard or whatever. And even them, they're performers, so they don't show another side of themselves.
Right.
And they do just show like that silly like performer side.
Yeah.
But then you have like this platform that's kind of sprung up, and with, I don't know if it's on purpose or like inadvertently, you're allowing these people to open up another side of themselves. Like when I watched the Matthew Silver episode, I was like, oh, okay, I get what this guy's doing. Everybody thinks he's stupid, but he's really like he's playing them. They're not playing him. Like, cause he's trying to, as like crazy as it sounds, he's just trying to like make people laugh and smile and like shift the entire consciousness of the world to love. Yeah. And when I watched the T-Rex episode, you might always just see him performing with the drums and just think like, oh, what's that condition? Or like, that's strange, or I've never seen that before. But when you listen to, or when you actually hear the whole episode, you pick up on all these different like small things that make you relate to them much more like a real person. Like how like his struggles with finding a job, and like how he got into doing this anyway. Because most of the time when you're passing by someone on the street, you might not stop to consider like how the heck they even got to that point. And in that little 10-15 minutes, you learn like about his actual condition, what like his life is like, what his perspective. Yeah. I mean, have you thought about how you're helping like give a platform and a voice to, and you guys are kind of like one big family, like rising up together? Yeah.
I mean, I don't go super out of my way to help anyone. It's just like we're friends, and we help each other. Like, I wouldn't have this content if it wasn't for them, and they wouldn't have a platform if it wasn't for me. Well, they wouldn't have my platform if it wasn't for me. They would have a platform. Some of them are pretty big. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we help each other, Yeah. And it definitely feels good to be able to give back. And that's kind of what this show is about, the New York's Got Talent show. It's like giving them a platform to like tell their story for 7 to 15 minutes or however long the episode is, Yeah. I wanted it to be for them as much as it was for me, kind of what you're saying about your podcast, I want it to be like a platform where like people are like stoked to be on it, and know that they're going to expose themselves to a much larger audience.
Yeah. I wanted to get into like one more topic, because like for any of the videographers or filmmakers listening, because you're doing all this fun stuff, but at the same time you have a very solid foundation in actual commercial work and whatnot. And I see this argument all the time, and it kind of like, it gets me debating. Mm-hmm. People always like think that cell phone or unprofessional or like impromptu type of stuff is somehow beneath like working on a set and like traditional filmmaking and like being on a professional set and like polished content, where I mean you do both. Yeah. So what are some things and like positives and negatives of those two different worlds that you've personally been, because you have your feet in both?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like the New York's Got Talent stuff, whenever I shoot that, I like, okay, so I'm like hardwired to like, I need to work all the time. I need to be working on something. And, I don't know. I think it's just being a New Yorker and having two parents who are artists who hustle really hard. I think it's just like in my blood. So when I'm not like being active, I get really depressed or feel like I'm, not doing enough. When I shoot the New York's Got Talent episodes, even though like I'll shoot like two, maybe I'll spend an entire day just shooting 2 New York's Got Talent episodes. I'll go home and be like, damn, like I didn't do anything today. Like I feel like a piece of shit. And it's because I shot it on my cell phone. It's because it was just me and a cell, in an iPhone. Even though I just produced 2 pretty good pieces of like 7 to 15 minute content, which is gonna, get way more views than like, a commercial project that I'm gonna do the next week. I still kind of feel like shit. Like I haven't done anything. And the only reason for that, and maybe this is probably going to help me like speaking about it, like we're doing some therapy right now. In your head. And the reason why I feel like I haven't been productive is just because it's, it's not like a typical film set, it's not me and my DP and a sound person and a producer. And, but like I said, in reality, I'm like producing something that's going to be seen by way more people. And, yeah. I just get off track?
And might, reach and influence people.
Yeah.
Because one thing I noticed about the Facebook Watch videos is, or like the New York's Got Talent, I keep calling it, you might do more series. I keep calling it, sorry. I mean, one thing I noticed about the editing is like, you even use the built-in iPhone screen recorder to help tell the story and like show, like and that would traditionally, if someone would say, oh, you shouldn't do that, it's like amateur like, visually. You can see the little red bar. It's like amateur technically, but is it really amateur if you're reaching 1 million people and impacting 1 million people and like perhaps like, and the whole thing's vertical shot too, you know? Yeah. So
I mean, I kind of wanted the series to look like I just passed somebody my phone, Mm-hmm. That's why I use screenshots from like any sort of B-roll or archival footage or whatever, or photos. I'll take a screenshot from Instagram or do a screen recording from Instagram or whatever, and then I'll just like place it over the footage. Because I feel like it just, well, first of all, everyone's watching shit on their phone, so why not shoot it vertically? And then secondly, like I want it to feel personal, like it's coming from me. So that's kind of how I got that idea to run with that aesthetic, because it's like, I just handed you my iPhone. You have New York Nico's iPhone in your hands. You're watching what he filmed, this personal interview that he captured with somebody, and you're seeing his Instagram feed recording, and so
it kind of works in like similarly as you said, and with the music videos, how you made it work within the context of what the video is supposed to be, like surveillance camera. Totally. It's like you brought it all back. You brought it back to your roots, but like in a more polished and blended
way. I didn't even
way.
think about that. That's a really good point.
But again, it works really well. Maybe I'm biased. I just like making the point that, because I get this a lot. Like I like making the point that, you can think outside of the box, and just because people ask me where my work is all the time, and I'm it's kind of like weird meta in a lot of ways, but I'm still putting together a video. I'm still like making sure I can communicate a certain message, or like like a package it together. You still have to distribute it.
Sure.
You still have to like make it cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
And people think, where's your reel? They think it has to be like a reel, like a real reel.
Well, we need clients to to still believe that amateur, and by amateur I'm using air quotes, like shooting on a cell phone or whatever, that's no good, because then they wouldn't pay us as much, like if they knew that they could get away with someone like me just going out and filming their $3 million commercial by myself on an iPhone, then they would offer me 100 times less than that.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that we need all this equipment and crews and stuff like that, like, let's keep them believing that they need that so that we get more money.
Yeah.
And then I'll just do my own shit on my cell phone.
And not to go too far on either way. It's like, obviously there's still a place for that, and it looks really good too. Like, you do really good commercial work, and there's a place for everything. But like you said, like, the value might be the same even if the aesthetic is different.
Totally.
How do you, like, when you're recording these mobile videos, especially on the street? Like, I know I follow street photographers. Like, I don't know if you follow. There's like all these different theories on, like, you shouldn't chimp or look at the thing after you shoot it, or like you should shoot from the hip. Yeah. Or you know, like, yeah, right. Like, there was a street photographer who I forgot what his name is, but some famous one that like got right up in people's faces with flash and got these super up close portraits that are iconic. I mean, how do you go about that? Do you say, hey, I'm going to record a quick video, say something funny? Or
no, it really depends. I mean, I'd say like 75% of my videos, people know that I'm filming them, but it's the way I do it is pretty like inconspicuous, you know, like I'll make direct eye contact so that they focus on me and not the camera, and then they kind of forget that it's there. And then when it's, you know, maybe I'm just like recording someone who's doing something that I think is cool or funny or whatever, but I don't want to like have to go up and introduce myself, ask for permission, and then do it. I'll do that candidly, and you know, I don't really, it's just my own technique. It kind of comes naturally. I have a bunch of different ways. I can't really tell you how I do it, but, you know, just don't be obvious. Yeah. That's the most important thing. Whether you have permission or not, just don't be obvious.
Have you ran into any issues like that? Like, someone doesn't want to be on there, or like finds it and says like, you're allowed to record anyone in public?
Yeah, I mean, it's legal, but here's the thing. Like I said, I'm never filming anybody who I dislike. I'm always filming people who I think are interesting or doing something fascinating, or, you know, making some sort of spectacle, or wearing a super loud outfit. And I wouldn't go up to somebody and start filming them if I knew that like they just didn't want to be filmed. I think the biggest misconception about what I do is that, you know, I film people who are like down and out. Like, I fucking hate it when people DM me photos of like homeless people who just look like they're suffering. Like, you know, someone who's lying in their own throw up or something, or someone who's like passed out on the train and their pants are hanging below their ass. Like, I've never posted anything like that. Why do you think I would like something like that? You know, it like, that's something that I would never photograph. I actually yelled at someone the other day, and I know a lot of people might think it's hypocritical, but there was this woman who I see all the time. Like, she's this homeless lady who hangs out around Union Square, and when it's cold out, she's always in a bank, you know, getting warm. And she was in a bank, and she was like kind of bending over, and you could see her ass crack. And I saw this kid and his girlfriend, he was like filming it and laughing, and it just made me so angry that I just like started yelling at him. I was like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Like, why is that funny to you? Like, and a lot of people who I guess don't know my work that well might think that that's super hypocritical of me, but I would never film something like that. I would never film somebody in like a vulnerable position like that, or you know, because like that's someone who's really suffering. Like, I don't know, man.
Do you feel like you're closer in this space that you see when people are violating what you think the moral standards that you follow? You're able to notice it more because this is your kind of, you're like the gatekeeper almost of like this craft. Totally. And like, they're making you look bad.
You could take the same lady. I've never filmed her, to be honest, because it does look like she's suffering all the time. You know? And maybe that's why it struck me a little bit more, because I don't know her. I've never had a conversation with her, but if the same person, I saw her like dancing, with her headphones on or something, like that might be something I'd film, because I think that that's beautiful, that someone who is kind of in a sad situation like that can find happiness. And to me, as corny as it sounds, is kind of inspirational. It's like, look at you fucking, who the guy who works a 9 to 5, has, makes good money, is like, gets home and is like fucking depressed about some bullshit. Why are you upset when like there's someone like this who literally has to sleep in a Chase Bank every night, can find time to just like dance and love life, or whatever. It's all complicated. I feel like I'm kind of...
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like the approach, the framing, the context, the intended, like you said, the intention is everything.
It's all about intention and context, and yeah.
And people like...
But like, that kid who was filming her ass, is like, his intention was not good. It's like what are you going to do with that? You're going to post it on your Snapchat so that people can laugh at it.
Yeah, totally.
And don't get me wrong, there's laughing with and laughing at. No one's going to laugh with that. They're going to laugh at it. Stuff that I do, I hope people laugh with it.
Yeah.
Laugh with T-Rex who is screaming that he can't reach his penis, not at him.
Yeah.
Laughing with him.
Yeah.
And he would tell you the same thing.
Yeah. I think it's a lot easier to laugh with someone when you understand who they are a little bit more through some of the stuff you're doing. But it's like kind of a lot of gray, it's like a very unique, different type of documentary thing, because how old is Instagram? Yeah. Are you familiar? There's other type of things that it reminds me of. It just popped up in my head while we're talking. Have you heard of this surveillance cameraman YouTube channel? Yeah. I think what he does is a lot more harassing. Oh, yeah. But I guess his intended point is like that we're all being watched by surveillance cameras anyway. But I don't know. There's like a lot of... I guess it just goes back to intention. Yeah. Intention is everything. Yeah. But so what else? You've got several things going on. Like you said, you're still, cashing in on that commercial professional work. You're also, this brand kind of, and your own personal like work and brand is growing for you pretty quickly, I guess, like relatively. Yeah. What else is going on for you? What do you see? Do you have plans for like the next 6 months to a year? Yeah, I do have some things that are under wraps. That'll be exciting if they happen. But for the most part, I've kind of just been like going with the flow. I don't have like a 5-year plan or whatever. But I like what I've been doing. People seem to be receptive. Just keep going, Where can people find you? I'll link everything to anyone who's listening on YouTube or iTunes. I'll link everything in the show notes. But where's the best place that you want people to stay up to date with you and check out what you're doing most? Where should they go right after listening to this?
Well, you should check out the Instagram, which is New York Nico. And you should check out New York's Got Talent on Facebook Watch, which is facebook.com/New York's Got Talent. And you can go to Heller Films if you want to hire Heller Films for your next commercial. Yeah.
Awesome. I highly recommend you guys do that. For, a gem of a page, lights up my feed. Something I look forward to seeing posts from and stories from. But anyways, Nico, thank you so much for taking the time. I literally just got into New York. What better person to introduce me to the city besides my Uber driver? Thank you so much for taking the time. I do appreciate it. I know you probably, like you said, get hit up by a lot of people. So I'm glad that you were able to give an hour to the people to listen to your story a little bit.
Of course, man. Thank you.
All right, so that was my conversation with Nicolas Heller. If you listen all the way to the end here, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you want to reach out to me or Nico, send us a message. Let us know what you thought. Those are always appreciated. If you want to find more episodes of this podcast, you can go to justinodisho.com/podcast to see all the ways you can listen to it. A subscription on YouTube, iTunes, and a review, rating, comment, all of that is much appreciated. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.